Okay, so I am about 100 pages into the Sin Eater. So, and I'm rather intrigued. So this is based on a very fictionalized version of 16th century England. You kind of get all the same historical figures, but they've all got different names and stuff. And it's about a young girl who is 14 years old. She finds herself as an orphan, and she steals some bread and she gets punished for it. And while a lot of other young girls are punished by simple things like, you know, hangings, she gets made to be a sin eater, and she has to wear a metal collar around her neck, and she has an S tattooed into her tongue. And sin eaters are people, I knew about these before, they used to be in England at least, where if someone was dying they could sort of speak their sins or imbue their sins into like a piece of bread or something, and a sin eater would eat it and then they could go to heaven with no sins. But in this world she's kind of Megan Campisi has kind of taken that and run with it and made it bigger than it was historically, and it's sort of she's set up this whole sort of world where sin eaters are, everyone knows about sin eaters, nobody wants to be a sin eater, but they also need sin eaters because they're so closely associated with sin. Nobody wants to look at them or speak to them, and nobody wants to be spoken to by them. So this girl begins life as a person who never shuts the hell up, and she's always talking, and then she suddenly isn't allowed to speak anymore. She's just sent, or finds her way to the other older sin eater who already lives in the city. But so far she has she's just been following her around, trying to learn what she's supposed to do without actually being able to ask, or because they don't even speak to each other. But they're called to the palace because the queen's one of the queen's ladies is dying, and they take her sins and they're like, cool. Different sins have different foods, so there's actually a list at the start of this which is rather interesting. So like adultery, you would eat dried raisins. Deception, whipped syllabub, whatever the fuck that is. Drunkenness, hypocras. I don't know what half of these are. Poisoning is pigeon pie. Original sin, which is to do with Eve, and the original sin is bread, but that one's quite interesting because in this book, the way they talk about the sort of version of Christianity they have is that Eve is the devil. So Eve is like the ruler of hell, and they're all scared of Eve, and nobody wants to go to hell and see Eve and stuff, which is kind of interesting. But they get called to her and the other sin eater get called to the palace. They hear the sins, and they tell, the only time they're allowed to speak is when they absolve the sins, and they tell someone what foods they have to prepare for the sin eater to eat. And when they go back to eat the sins, they find a deer's heart on this woman's coffin, which means, or it represents a killing, that she murdered someone, but they both know she never confessed to that, so somebody has put it there to make everyone else who sees it think that she's killed someone. And the older sin eater refuses to eat it because she knows it's not it wasn't actually confessed, but she can't say this, so she's taken to the dungeon, and then her young protagonist has to eat it because she doesn't know what to do, and then she's out on her own and she has to be the sin eater for the whole city. So that's where I am at the minute. She started to think, I mean, she obviously knows someone planted it there. There's some fishy stuff going on at the palace. She can't tell anyone. Even if she could tell them, they wouldn't listen to her. So I'm really interested in it so far. It's not very horror at the minute. It's a bit dark. It's a bit something. I really like the cover, but so far I'm really intrigued by it. I'm really interested, and I'm gonna see where it goes. I'm still wearing my cape because my bedroom's still freezing and I am not taking it off. So it is Wednesday morning, I believe. Yes, it is Wednesday morning. I have finished The Sin Eater by Megan Campisi, and I have started Dave vs. Monsters by John Birmingham. So, The Sin Eater is not a horror novel. I'd say it's more of a murder mystery. I still really enjoyed it. I liked it. There's definitely something dark about having someone eating your sins and having to carry all the sins of everyone in the town or whatever. Definitely a lot of poisonings, a lot of underhanded things going on. Really liked the way it was written, really liked how the protagonist was written. I will do a full review of this. I still really liked it, but it wasn't a horror novel. But it was interesting. It was quite good. It had a few too many twists at the end where you kind of think, oh, that's the killer. Oh, no, wait, it's that. Oh, no, wait, you've changed again. So I think too many twists can just be kind of a mindfuck, but I did like it. I'm about 100 pages into Dave vs. the Monsters. It's not what I expected. So this is a horror novel. I was hoping that this would just be a romp, it would be good crack, it would be a laugh. And it's not. It's a lot more than that. So the main character, his entire personality seems to just be that he's a dick. And speaking of dicks, I've never heard a straight man describe so many penises and testicles in all my life. He's so macho that he can only describe other men in what he assumes the weight and density and swinging capabilities of their testicles are. Not only this, the monsters who are there, I thought they looked quite like Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings, and he does call them orcs in this, for want of a better word. They're also buck-ass naked, and they have massive penises, and while they're eating people, they just have huge erections. Because of course they do. I mean, don't we all when we're eating a good succulent Chinese meal? But yeah, and he just seems, it's definitely not PC. He just seems like a dick, and also the novel starts with him being hungover. He's coming back to work on the oil rig for a couple of weeks. He's on his way there. He's super hungover because he spent his last paycheck on drugs and gambling and alcohol and 2 sex workers that he flew in from another state for some reason. I know this for a fact because it's mentioned every 3 pages. Every 3 pages for the first 100 pages. I'm not exaggerating here. He has to bring up the fact that he was with 2 sex workers last night, and it's not even like, hey, I'm so cool. It's like, oh, weird things are going on and I don't understand them, so I'm just gonna blame this on the sex workers. They clearly drugged me and things aren't right here, and everyone I know is saying all this stuff and there's monsters and I've seen them, but I think it was the sex workers. Or he'll just say, you know, I think I'm the only person in this room who was with prostitutes last night. It's just, It's weird, and it's not a personality trait. So I don't know what else to say about him. So far I'm not enjoying it very much. Also, it's 100 pages in and nothing has happened. Like, it took about 30 pages for him just to get to the oil rig, and then it took the rest of these pages of him just sitting in a hospital room. Like, there were like 4 chapters of him sitting in a hospital room, and it was all describing the same, like, I'm gonna say like 40-minute period, and it was just so drawn out, and they just had to bring in so many points about the prostitutes again, and just, yeah. So I don't think it's really my kind of humor at the minute, to be honest. I don't know if it's even supposed to be funny at all. I just assumed, because it kind of looks funny, and for some reason he's got a hatchet and a massive chocolate bar. I thought that was humor, comedy, but apparently not. So I don't know if I'm going to like this. A lot of the books I've been reading for this have been the first in the series, and this is also the first in the series. I'm not going to be picking up the second one. I'm going to call it right now. But I will finish it hopefully today, and we'll see how it goes. Okie dokie, so it is 1 p.m. It's Thursday, 26th of November. Yesterday I finished Dave vs. the Monsters. These aren't exactly good things. I started after the first 100 pages, I started just for my own amusement really, putting post-its every time he mentioned the sex workers that he paid for, and every time he mentioned someone else's, some other male's testicles. So the pink ones are for male genitalia, and the green ones are for the prostitutes. Now that's only after the first 100 pages, and that's mainly where they were. So I think before I go back and actually do a review on this, I'm going to go through the first 100 pages, because I'm sure I'm going to be filling out quite a few more of these. But even up here, I mean, even near the last third of the book, he was still talking about those sex workers. He's all like, geez, chill out. Definitely not my kind of humor. He has no personality, he's just a dick. His only insults are you gay? And that seems to be all he does. There are a few characters who tell him he's bigoted, but that seems just like kind of an excuse. Like, hey, I'm not saying everything he says is fine, but that's just the way he is. He's just... No, I didn't enjoy it. It's not my thing, but I'll do a full review of it. I will not be buying the second one, however. Today I have one more book after this, but I'm about to start The Fading by Christopher Ransom. This appears to be a story about someone who, since they were a kid, they could disappear at will and make themselves invisible. He learns that some people can actually see him, and he has to figure out why, and there's an unspeakable evil that he has to come to terms with. Apparently, the inside cover says, "First there was King, then there was Kuntz. Now meet the new star of horror, Christopher Ransom. Over 350,000 copies sold in the UK." I mean, sure, that's impressive, but it's not quite King or Kuntz level, is it? Also, you don't have a K in your name, so I don't know if that counts. But I'm going to start this today. This one is 486 pages. The next one is about 500 pages. So it's looking like it's taken me about 2 weeks to read 7 books, I think it is. I still have the 2 from November that I'm going to read before I read the ones in December. I have review books I want to read. I want to read The Stand in December. Doesn't look like I'm slowing down. So I just finished The Fading by Christopher Ransom mere seconds ago. Again, not what I was expecting, but I did enjoy this one much more than the previous one. He has a quote likening him to Stephen King and Koontz at the beginning. You can definitely see where he took inspiration from Stephen King, not in a copycat way or anything, but you can definitely tell he has read a lot of King. I mean, yeah, from reading the back, it's just not what I got. So when Noel learns that some people can see him and that his power is unleashed in otherworldly evil, he must descend into darkness and confront a relentless killer to discover the true source of his fading. That didn't really happen. I was expecting some, some big out there evil from another dimension, some demons or something, because the book goes through this guy Noel's life. Since he was literally in the womb, he has been sort of becoming invisible at will, and I was really expecting there to be an answer for why that is, and you don't really get one at the end of the book. And it kind of, I think he was going with the Stephen King route of not really having a plot for this either. He was just writing it and going through Noel's life to see what happened. The ending is quite odd, to be honest. There's no mention of there being a second book, but if this is just a standalone, then that's a weird ending to have, I think. I don't know. I might have to digest this one for a while. But I like Christopher Ransom's writing. I liked his character work, his descriptions. I thought it was all pretty well done. So I definitely read another Christopher Ransom. I'll have to have a think about this book though. Odd. So I have one more day of November left and one more book to read, which is like 500 pages. Oh, one thing I have to mention. What is with this? Weird. There is a cult mentioned, and I think Christopher Ransom might be the leader of the cult. This is a weird author picture, and I feel like he's coming for my soul, which I suppose fits for a horror writer, but this is weird. It's a weird picture in the back. But yeah, I have this. It looks like it's burnt, but I like those pages. The Gargoyle by Andrew Davidson. So this one, a young man is fighting for his life. Into his room walks a bewitching woman who believes she can save him. Their journey will have you believing in the impossible. Not much there, really. Oh, it's something to do with past lives or something, I think. So there's possibly a bit of fantasy, a bit of historical fiction type stuff going on in here. It is 499 pages, which I hope to get done by tomorrow. Is Monday, it's the last day of November. 30 days out, September, April, June, wait, no. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. It's past midnight, so it's already Monday. I was so confused. Yeah, I will get this done tomorrow, hopefully, and I will have a few short review copies, kind of novellas, to do this month, but I will also be reading The Stand for the first time, so we're going to see how that goes. It looks mammoth, but considering that I've read about 4,000 or 5,000 pages this month, and that's about 1,000 pages, I'll get it done, so it's fine. But we'll see. So it is currently the evening of the 16th of December. I can't remember when I last filmed for this vlog, but I did finish this. I finished The Gargoyle. I finished it, I think, on Friday or Saturday, actually. I just didn't feel like doing anything. I haven't felt like actually reviewing books in a while. This one really sort of stumped me. It was really I was just slogging through it. It just wasn't my thing at all. It took ages to actually finish it, and now my brain kind of wants a break from reading, which I have been asking for a while. But I did intend on reading The Stand and getting through a lot of reviews. So, anywho, I did finish this, so I have finished the backlog pretty much of my Portable Magic book subscription box, except for November and December, which were very good. If you want to check out my openings of those, because I'm excited about those books. But this one, The Gargoyle by Andrew Davidson, it's a romance. It's not a horror book at all. No, I don't think there's nothing dark about this really. It's a historical romance. It's about a man who's in a horrific accident and gets burned, and a woman meets him in the hospital, and she starts telling him that they have been star-crossed lovers for centuries, and telling him about their life back in the 16th century or whatever. And he doesn't really believe her. She carves gargoyles. She's weird. I mean, there were interesting bits about it, but it was rather dull for most of it. There's a huge obsession with lists in this book. Just like almost entire pages where they just list off types of food, or they list off the books on a shelf, or they list off the music that was played in a 72-hour period. Like, when I got to a huge chunk of text that didn't seem to have any sentences in it, I ended up just skipping them. I was like, yeah, I get the gist from the first 3 things you said. I don't need to read the whole thing. The main character as well, like everyone else in the book, had some sort of redeeming qualities, had some sort of niceness to them. He was just a prick. Which is ironic because he lost his in the accident, but he was just horrible like 99% of the time, and I really didn't like him, and I didn't like reading about him, and yeah, it just wasn't my thing. So I've read all of these books. I will be giving some of them away, so obviously I will be giving this romance away. I will also be giving away The Repossession, because it was the weird way book about, what was it about teleportation, and it was also romance. There you go, romance again. I will also, I'm gonna give away The Fading. It was fine. I wouldn't mind reading more Christopher Ransom, but I didn't like it. Dave versus the Monsters. I'll throw this in the garbage. Garbage. No. Yeah, this was just bad. This was not good. So if you are interested in any of these books, you should follow me on Instagram, because I will be giving them away on my Instagram stories. I'll probably do a couple of videos reviewing these books in pairs, just to get them out of my head, and then I can give them away. But that does mean that I will be keeping the ones I enjoyed, and I did enjoy The Possession, first of all. This one was really well written. I'd be interested in the other books in the series. Mexican Gothic was different. It definitely wasn't the type of Gothic stories I'm used to. It was quite well written. I liked it. It did have some romance, but that wasn't the main crux of the story. There's also The Hollow Ones, which was sort of a supernatural Hannibal Lecter story, almost, something like that. So I did enjoy that. And Sin Eaters. Sin Eaters also, I don't consider this to be a horror novel, but it was interesting. It did have some great characters and some great plot points. The ending was a bit of a real downer. It was realistic-ish, but it was a bit of a downer. But I did enjoy this one, so I'll be keeping that as well. in the new year, I've really decided and really settled into the fact that I will not be taking as many review copies. I'm gonna limit myself to like 5 a month, and previously I was doing like 6 or 7 a week, so 5 a month, that's all I'm taking. I'm gonna get through the ones I have at the minute. I'm very tired and I'm going to go to sleep after I take my makeup off, and I'm gonna do it while listening to a new podcast I found. It was recommended by someone on TikTok and it's called Crime Junkie, and it goes through, if you're a true crime person and you feel like you keep hearing the same things over and over again, Dyatlov Pass, the frickin' Ted Bundy, you've heard them all. True crime, Crime Junkie. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and thank you for watching, and I shall see you in the next video.